And today, one of our two amazing guests that is going to be with us sharing so much juicy value is the beautiful Phil Pallen, who is a global brand strategist, and we were just actually recording a podcast. So I'm actually going to bring Joel onto the screen now. So let's just see if I can. Oh yes, here we go. Oh, we're testing new waters here. Okay, so we're testing. Invited. Yes, we are bringing up our second amazing guest, Joel Brown. What up? Amazing. This is so good. Okay, so I'm just going to see if I can spin you.
Can we spin?
Yes. Your camera is on the side. Your camera's on the side. You got to turn the camera. Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
I think it's like, then we have to hold it. Sorry, team. We're just getting, you're not going to hold that. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now we have an amazing person holding. Tony here is holding our camera.
Tony's getting his workout.
So good. So Phil, meet Joel.
Hey, Joel.
Meet Phil.
Nice to meet you, Phil.
Nice to meet you. I'm so excited to meet you at IRL.
Hell yeah, man. You're a California boy, right?
In real life.
You're a Cali boy.
Yeah.
Yes. So for everybody else that's just tuning in, this is Joel Brown. So Joel Brown is an amazing online entrepreneur who is from Perth originally, yeah?
From Perth originally, yeah.
Amazing. So Joel and I connected over in Gold Coast, like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks, at Preston Smiles and Lexi Parnas's event. And I was like, hey, you should come down here and like do an event if you want. So Joel's about to start an amazing tour helping online entrepreneurs build their brand and business. And so both of these amazing guys are going to be live IRL in real life next Wednesday at the Conscious Boss Clique event. So get excited. I would just love to open up the floor to both of you to just give these viewers, because a stack of people I know will actually, sorry about it, probably not know who you are.
Sure.
So tell us, Phil Pallen, and tell Joel who you are, what you do, and then we'll go over to Joel.
Sure. So I am Phil, and I'm originally from Canada. I like to tell my fellow Commonwealthers, just, so you don't assume that I'm American. Yeah.
I assumed.
Tony's American. He's holding the camera. He might throw it out the window now. So I'm from Canada. I live in LA. I've lived there for 6 years, and I help people position, build, and promote their brands. I actually got my start building personal brands in 2011. Very long story short, I was in the running to become Charlie Sheen's social media intern at the peak of his craziness in the media. And out of 90,000 people, made it to the top 50. Got an internship with Ryan Seacrest, which is our main presenter in the US. He hosts everything. Yeah, you know who he is. Yeah. And then I got fired. And that's the story. You'll hear the full story Wednesday night at the event. I'll tell the full story. But I've been building brands, and I have two connections to what you both just shared very quickly. I actually have been to the Gold Coast. I've been to Australia. I branded the first food truck on the Gold Coast of Australia. Oh. On that trip, I wanted to go to New Zealand, but didn't have enough time. So now I'm back here in New Zealand for the first time. And my New Zealand connection is a client that I've worked with for a few years, who is the Ryan Seacrest of New Zealand. That's how I describe him. Yes. Dominic Bowden is a friend and a client. And I had the fortune of working on X Factor New Zealand for the one season it had, or the one season it had. I worked with him on that. So, amazing. But I did it. So I was in LA Saturday nights at like 4 a.m., which was Sunday night here when the broadcast was on, and I was doing all of his social media and all of that. So I was not very cool for the time that X Factor was on because I was working on Saturday
laptop
nights.
life.
Yeah,
laptop
exactly.
Life. And we will we're going to touch into building personal brand. That's a big part of what today's live stream is about. But Joel, chest hair, talk to us a little bit about yourself.
Chest hair, look out.
So just a little bit of background on that, because I've been told I do personal jokes and nobody gets them. So when we were at the Bridge, which was Preston and Lexi's event, Preston gives Joel crap for having chest hair out. So now I call him chest hair. So it's endearing. That's the story. Tell us about yourself.
Yeah. So, 6.5 years ago, I started a website called addictedtosuccess.com. We've reached over 120 million views worldwide since then. I've had so many amazing opportunities to meet people like Tony Robbins and Gary Vaynerchuk and Ty Lopez and Grant Cardone. And, I get to work with a lot of best-selling authors and speakers and coaches. And with that, I really believe, I feel like I'm the kind of Indiana Jones of self-development. I go out there and find the gems and I share it with the rest of the world. So that's my calling. That's what I'm here to do. And I have a ton of fun doing it. And obviously I'm coming to Australia and New Zealand for my Millions Online tour. So yeah, it's exciting stuff.
You mean you're coming to New Zealand for Conscious Boss Clique, right?
Yeah.
Coming for that too. Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there 19th of April. Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. So as we mentioned, both of these guys are coming to you live next week, and our amazing, we have a beautiful human right now that is holding the camera for us. And he is an email marketing genius, and he's actually now a bonus. So we're going to be featuring him next week as well. So straight from New York. So it's going to be a powerhouse men on the stage. It's going to be
all the men and you.
I love it.
You're not complaining.
I don't complain about that. So I would love to kick in, because give these amazing humans some value. What up to everybody that's on? So amazing. It's also Good Friday right now. So it's Easter, and we're like Hustle Life, Entrepreneur Life, bringing some value to all of you guys. So thanks for jumping on. So I want to get into some branding stuff, because you guys have both built really successful, beautiful brands, amazing, powerful brands, and you obviously help others do the same. So I feel like that's going to be a really powerful focus today for the call. And obviously, if anyone has specific questions, shoot them through. But I would love to know, because a lot of people out here are on the smaller end, like starting. A lot of time it's like solopreneur, small business. What are some of the must do's? Because I will admit, even for me, I don't think hugely about design and branding. And sometimes I'm like, oh, I could be doing this more considerately. So what are the maybe top 3 things that a small business entrepreneur needs to definitely do to create their brand? And then also obviously thinking about online. I'll go to Phil, and then I'll go to Joel.
Okay, cool. Yep. I'll come up with 3 things off the top of my head. But the first thing is that even if you're small, don't think too hard about that, because you have the potential, whether you're in New Zealand, you're in LA, you're in New York, I don't care where you are, you can be small, but you can also not be small, and never be limited by geography. The internet is your oyster, so you can be building a brand in New Zealand that we in the US are engaging with. So we have this tendency, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, of thinking, well, we're secondary to the land of opportunity. Be grateful you're not actually there right now. Okay, it's a weird place to be. That's why Tony and I are not there. No. Yeah. Don't think about being small. You could be small, that's fine. But if you want to grow, you can be just as relevant as some of these, centers, London, New York, all these places around the world. So don't ever be limited by that. And I can relate to that personally, being from Canada. I would say, okay, so that's first, is don't be limited by geography. Number 2, people are very quick to jump to promoting your brand when there's some staging or some renovations that need to happen. So I often use this analogy. People want to put a for sale sign out front to sell their house, even if it doesn't have a roof. If it doesn't have a roof, you're only going to get a fraction of the value that you really deserve. So a lot of the work that I'm focused on is giving you the very tangible framework, step 1, 2, 3, to be able to actually build a robust, beautiful visual brand that will garner the results when you go to sell it. So when I'm branding it, it's in this order: position, build, promote, in that order, right? Looking at the foundation, how are you positioned? What have you built to show for it? How will that ensure that you're successful when you go to sell or promote your brand? And so a lot of times it's revisiting that the build or the what you have to show for it. So that's number 2. Number 3 would be creating content is not interesting anymore. It doesn't make you different. Blogging, podcasting, everyone's creating content. So I would argue that that's an unlimited resource. The limited resource that we're all chasing is people's time and attention span, which right now, 30 people live on is it Good Friday?
Yes.
On Good Friday is pretty impressive. People are, so there's a lot of content creators right now, but there are 30 people, more than that because they come in and out, that have decided to give you the most valuable resource. It's a compliment to you for having such an engaged audience. They are giving you the most valuable currency right now, more than money. It's time. People paying attention to you right now. That's what we're all kind of chasing. So I'll be able to give you some tips on how to do things differently so that you're not just existing and going through the motions like everyone else, doing things with purpose. Those are my 3.
Amazing. Okay, Joel, so the top 3 or must do 3 things for a smaller business, or not thinking small, but to really focus on when building their brand and leveraging online, I'd say.
For sure. Yeah, you know, I think my experience might be slightly different in the sense of, like, I went with big media. You know, I've gone for the masses, which is funny because I started with a wide scope, but now I'm narrowing down quite a lot. And I think that what it is, we don't know all the answers straight away. And so there is a lot of experimenting. There is a lot of testing out there in the market. You know, we can only know so much and build so much and create so much and think that we can market it in a certain way, but we don't know for sure the results we're going to get. And that's the awesome thing about, you know, working with you guys and the experience that you've had as well, mate. Like, it's our value increases the more that we put ourselves on the line and stretch and grow in the space. And so I encourage all my clients to do the same thing. They don't necessarily have to be a branding expert or a coach, but they have to treat it like that too. You know, a lot of people don't understand that that they are a brand. You know, your business will only grow to the extent that you do. And so putting yourself on the line and delivering your value at your best ability as often as possible is the key right there. You know, so there are a number of other things you can do. There's like association, there's collaboration to gain more social media followers and things like that. But what I used to think was really important back in the day isn't so important anymore. And I put so much emphasis on social media followers. I put so much emphasis on views, but it's like, what's beyond that? You know, what do you get out of that? Are you selling books? Are you getting people to your event? You know, are you capturing a tribe that really wants to be a part of what you're doing? And so I really believe that, you know, throw into a second point, it's really, how do you either share the vision of what your company entails, or how do you build a community around your message, right? So there's a lot of people out there that are creating stock standard things and copying other people's things because they're living in the definition of somebody else's success. They haven't quite understood what they're buying into, and so they don't commit fully, right? So it's really important to convey your message as clearly as you can when you're standing there in your brand, because the more clearly you can convey your message, the more clients and the right clients start showing up. You know, I'd rather have, you know, 100 people show up that know exactly what it is that I offer, so that we don't waste time together, than to have 10,000 people come to me and I spend, you know, months straight on the phone with them or conversating with them to find out that they weren't really qualified anyway. You know, and so that goes to social media following. You got to have like depth, not just like the width.
That's, you said a few really key things there for me. Like, I think definitely just totally mind blanked, but one of the big things was building community around your brand. Like, I think that's and correct me if I'm wrong, but I know from my perspective, you know, especially in like the conscious business space, the purpose-driven space, is about delivering and creating that community for people to engage and get that tangible experience with you and the brand. I feel like people are more driven to purchase and spend with brands they can personally associate to. So I think the community is obviously key. And also something you said as well around like the numbers, you know, like what's the point of 50,000 people viewing your post if no one, you know, decides to work with you or to engage with you further, like, and not getting stuck on the numbers, and really also appreciating, like you said, 32 people in here, that's 32 people that are like giving their time, their energy, like even just one person hearing this message and being able to engage with it. And I think we can get so caught up in like, oh, I've only got, you know, how many people looked at it and how many, just the numbers game.
Yeah, well, I think vanity metrics are, the days are over where we're just like, oh, look how many fake followers we bought and have. And like now people are finally getting over that, right? We went through our little phase. We went through a phase where it was like, ooh, I have more followers than you. But to Joel's point, it's like, now it's like, okay, what are these people doing? What's that next step? What are we creating that people actually care about?
Yeah.
And as opposed to just existing.
What value are we adding, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Because if you're not adding value, then people are just going to click onto someone else, because there's a lot of people competing within your space, regardless of your industry. So how can you offer value? How can you use your personality to be the reason people come back to you and not someone else, right? If we needed just content, we'd go to Google and find it somewhere else. We're not going to go to you for just content. We'll go to you because you keep us coming back, because your personality, because the way that you deliver it and the style that I connect with. So what's so interesting, even in my world in business, is the idea of media coaching, the idea of getting people comfortable to go on camera, like something like this, right? Like even me, I don't even know that I take the initiative to do a Facebook Live, like, because you're forcing me to do it. So like, here we are, right? And I've shared it onto my page just now. So I was looking down, but like getting over this, creating something of value, communicating, keeping up with the times and communicating in an effective way. A lot of times it's video. Like there's this whole new aspect of what I'm doing now to work with people. It's not just creating beautiful visual brands. It's also saying, hey, here's how to get the confidence to go on and deliver this message in a nice packaged, concise way that allows me to get value and move on with my day.
I would like to ask you both a question, because I'm really interested in your feedback on this. Because personal brand, obviously now, is with the growth of coaches and you know, online businesses, personal brand is, you know, we hear a lot about personal brand, which is obviously super important. Everybody is a brand, but I'd be really interested in your input in someone who has a product, right? Who's actually wanting to create a product, say, you know, skincare or something that's completely not, hey, this is who I am. What would you say about bringing them into that business as well? Because I know for me, I believe that I want to see who, you know, when I go into the about, I want to see, you know, the founder who created it and like support that person and a bit of that person, but that could just be me. So I'm interested, if you have a product, do you bring the person behind the product into that brand as well? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. I mean,
obviously it depends on what the product is as well, right?
Yeah.
What is that product specifically?
Like if it's just literally a physical consumer product that they want to, you know, don't necessarily want to be a part of as a personality, but I feel like when it's a small business still and it needs to grow.
Yeah. You might want to jump in on this one, man.
Yeah, you're good. Every consumer is going to be different. Like you said, some people just want the physical product, and that's what they're there for. It satisfies a need. Every good business satisfies a need. But I'm really, really passionate on this topic in saying that you are a part of the narrative, because it's just one more thing you can do that makes whatever you've created more memorable.
Yeah.
So people are funny. People are funny. They love brands. People love brands. And you have the power to create a brand that is desirable by others, you know, for others. So to tell your story and to tell the why and to reveal a bit is often vulnerable for us, right? We're like, oh, I have to go into that nitty gritty story about why I did this. Or sometimes it's hard and sensitive and emotional, or sometimes it's not. But the point is, by revealing, it makes us connect more with you as a human. In my opinion, a product on its own is only going to go so far. And there are examples we can think of where people have sold millions and billions of dollars of product just based on the product alone. But I think 9 times out of 10, it's the story, it's the entrepreneur, the face behind the brand that makes it more interesting and memorable, in my opinion.
Awesome.
Right.
And
I believe thanks for jumping in. I believe that, like, if you can save people time, money, and energy in any way as well, that's a winning product in itself. So you got to keep that in mind. It's like, is this better than what's already out there? Is this different? Because there's this classic saying my friend Sally says all the time, and so awesome. She's one of the top marketers in the world, female marketer, and she says, it's easier to be different than it is to be better. Like, come up to be better than everybody else, be different. And being different is expressing truly who you are, right? That's letting your soul come out into that product, into that service, whatever it is, right? And so it's really important to have that uniqueness about it. Like, what's that thing? It doesn't have to be completely unique. because sometimes that's not accepted too, because that's going first and it takes a while in the market for things to pick up. But it's like, what gives you that cutting edge? What gives it that magnetism, that thing that's like risky, but also innovative at the same time?
Yeah,
that's a
beautiful.
good question.
Oh, so we've got a question.
I have my glasses on. I can read it.
The vegan one?
Yeah, Danielle.
So I agree completely, Emily. I'm not sure what I said, but thank you. I make vegan sweet treats, but not actually vegan myself. Will people be put off by that?
If Danielle is still watching, I want you to answer. I'm going to answer your question with a question. I'm curious to know why, if you're not vegan yourself, why do you create vegan products?
What's the rationale behind it?
Yeah, I want to know why, and even to be that transparent. I would love to read on the About page, I'm not vegan, but here's why I put my heart and soul into this product. I'm curious to know why. I think it's interesting to be someone creating vegan products that's not vegan. Maybe eventually you'll be convinced to become vegan. Maybe you'll convince yourself. I don't know. There's an interesting narrative there that I'm missing that I want to know the answer to.
So to target a bigger audience.
Oh, that's not a good answer.
The vegan audience is not a bigger audience. The vegan audience is niche. So expand on us for that, babe. And by the way, raw goodness, delicious treats. They do delicious treats. So yeah, I would say that was quite niche. While you answer, I want to move on to another question because I want to talk about, because you guys are both kings at this, how to and the best ways to start leveraging, because this is the biggest thing, social media, you know, how to leverage and stand out and where to go and where to be on social media. Joel, I'm going to fire to you, Mr. Addicted to Success. Tell us.
For sure. You know, well, the first thing I'd say is this. I'd say that it takes time, right? A lot of people want the, like, get rich now.
The non-vegan vegan.
Yo, the CIA is trying to shut us down, man.
Truth bombs, can't handle it.
Messing with the satellites.
So as you were.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, you know, a lot of it nowadays is based around engagement, you know, because we've got things like this, like Facebook Live and Insta Story, and you've got your Snapchats and all sorts. So people want to see that, like, power punch, high value jam session, and that, you know, they want to see if someone's congruent or not, because they get sold to so often on this BS stuff. So now it's like, is that person who I really see in the pictures? Are they going to show up as that same person in live video? You know, that's what I love about this, is like we can jam out. People are seeing us fully in the way that we are, or for the most part, you know, how we are. So I really believe that social is swinging really hard in that way. And I love it. I absolutely love it, because it's going to call a lot of people out. Now people can't hide behind the, like, cool looking picture quotes and, like, the fancy titles of I'm a CEO of this and the founder of that, and I'm a unicorn coach with 10 gold medals, or whatever you want to call it, right? So, like, now you have to really show up and show people your true personality and your true character, which is what lies under your heart, you know? So I love it. I love the way the social is going. And I think what the old rules of when I came into the game, it's 6.5 years ago, and, you know, we have 2.5 million social media followers, but really that game is, like, so outdated. It's like the dark ages now, like just racking up followers and sharing content and getting a bunch of likes and shares. It's a lot deeper than that. And I just, you know, thank God every day that this is where we're at now, because it demands a lot more from people. And, you know, there's obviously on top of that, there's like cross promotion, collaboration, you know, keeping like a theme in the way that you present your content as well, making it nice and neat and presentable, and that it has something that is, like we said before, different.
Yeah, I think I love that word congruent, because especially because of social now, like where you're showing up, the events you're going to, especially we're talking about like conscious business and like heart-centered businesses, and really being in that congruent space. You know, there's eyes everywhere now, because if you're in someone's story or you're there and you're being tagged, it's like you have to be, like you said, Joel, you have to be who you say you are, because otherwise people are going to find out and there's instantly like distrust. Because obviously all of this brand, anything, it's like no, like, and trust, right? We're talking about business, so it's like no, like, trust, you know, buy. You're wanting to add value, obviously, but you're also building a business, and that's the end result that we're all looking for, right? Like, let's be, you know, real as well. I'd love to touch as well on collaboration, because this is a big thing, because it comes obviously in physical, in real life, but also in social media. And I get the question a lot, like how to build these authentic relationships, how to collaborate powerfully. So can you, obviously I'm collaborating with you two now, so you can, you know, maybe speak to a little bit about what works for you when you look to collaborate, or some how-tos for collaboration.
Mm-hmm. Do you think people know we're sitting on the floor?
We're kneeling on the floor right now. And we have someone holding our camera. Yeah. This is the real deal. On Good Friday.
On Good Friday.
So who wants to jump in on that one?
I'll jump in on this one. I had this aha moment when I started a podcast, which was, I thought when I started it more for people to listen, I probably don't know, or even if I know, I don't know them that well. You know, for them, it serves them because they've got content they can share to their audience. For me, it keeps me on my game. Yeah. I can so easily just slip into inbox mode and just exist, reply like a little monkey on a keyboard, you know? And so for me, the podcast keeps me thinking. It keeps me having conversation that brings me new ideas. It moves me forward. And so I use podcasting as one of my ways to create content, but more importantly, a way to create powerful collaborations. So that's one of many, and I'll give you another example in terms of creating those powerful collaborations with people that you may even think are more qualified, you know, than you to even have a conversation or collaboration with. We just did a podcast, and you talked about the importance of surrounding yourself with people that know you better. I couldn't agree more, and I couldn't agree more that it's probably easier than you think to surround yourself with those people. So Joel is back, everyone. Yes. Now it's officially a party.
There you go.
That was my Joel voice there for a few seconds. That's what my voice is. So when someone emails me and says, Phil, I want to pick your brain. Phil, I want to take you for a coffee, and I want to pick your brain on whatever I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. That really makes me angry, and I have a response to every single one of those people to say, let me stop you in your tracks and be nicer than I normally would to prevent you from doing this moving forward. No one cares about you. This isn't about you. This is about me. If you want to be the lowest priority in my inbox, email me saying you want to take me for lunch or buy me a coffee. Girl, I can get my own coffee. I don't need you to buy me coffee. I work for a living, which is giving people advice on branding. That's my job. And I'm not giving it to you for free. Yeah. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a business. So people, if they want to be the lowest priority, email me and say, I want to pick your brain. If they want to be number one priority, it's literally just a switch in mentality. It's, what can I do for you? It's, Phil, I want to interview you for my blog. Phil, I want to have you as a guest on my podcast. You're doing exactly the same thing, but you're actually making it about the other person. And that's the right way to do business. So it's exactly the same thing, because you do a podcast, you do a blog interview, and people, see this sun? We're getting tanned right now. This is called multitasking. Rant plus sunshine tan, which, okay, we've been on cyclone watch, so give us a break. You know, so it's that little pivot of like, this is about me, help, to actually this is about you, and I see value in you, and I want to create that relationship. Every time I do a podcast interview, I always end up having conversations afterwards. It's like, so what are you doing? How can I help you? Emily's moving to, maybe she's gonna move to LA. I just told her, secret, out to New Zealand. Listen, no, she's moving to LA, and I'm like, well, I'll tell you where to move. I'll tell you who you need to meet and what you need to do the moments you get there. All of that happened because you and people who are switched on have made it about the other person and brand.
Yeah, beautiful. Joe Brown.
Yeah, look, Phil hit the nail right in the head. It's definitely a thing of, you know, everyone's favorite radio station, and it's right across their forehead, is WIIFM. What's in it for me, right? And everyone's tuning on that. You know, no matter how much they come from service and love, it's like there's a part there where it's like, what's going to happen here? Because, you know, depending on what you believe, like we have the one life here on earth, right? And it's like, how much time do you want to spend on the things that you love most? And so, you know, we need to be valued as well. I think that's the thing. And the more you put yourself out, the more you stretch, the more you realize your value increases. And so you've got to respect yourself, and you need to charge for that, you know?
Howard Schultz, from the founder of Starbucks, said that if he sat and had a 5-minute coffee with everyone that asked him for a coffee, he said there wouldn't be a Starbucks. You know, he wouldn't be a billionaire and there wouldn't be Starbucks. And so it's so true. So for me personally, that's definitely a golden rule. I used to feel really bad about not being able to respond to everybody in my inbox. It was like this guilt of like, oh, I have to serve everyone because I'm a, you know, self-development leader. And like, that's what, but no, I got rid of that real quick because I realized that while I was doing that, I was taking myself away from the bigger projects that would have a ripple effect and a bigger impact in the world. So you've got to play it smart, you know, you've got to be a new kind of smart. You can't just be playing the game like everybody else. And so I would say that, you know, when I approach people like your Tony Robbins and your Deepak Chopra and Gary Vaynerchuk and all these incredible people, it doesn't, usually they don't say yes straight away. Usually there's a process you need to go through, and that process is bouncing back and forth. It's pitching them with how you're going to help them. Like, always jump on like Amazon and have a look and see whose book is on pre-order, like who's ready to come out. Yeah, right. There you go. See,
right there. That's
so, like, yeah, check out the pre-orders and go, okay, this person is like, their whole world is going to be about that book or that message in the next month or two. So jump on it early and offer them like new exposure. Tell them your numbers. The more you can show numbers and figures, the better. Right. And obviously in the beginning, it's going to be not so easy when you first start out, especially with, you know, like Phil, and I know myself too, like when I had the podcast, I wasn't getting people like Tony Robbins and Deepak straight away. And I was getting like maybe like the B level people that are like still amazing, probably just as amazing, but they just haven't had as much reach and have as much of a following, and they get more wowed about the numbers. Whereas like Tony Robbins, I had to tell him how much I'm willing to like get people to buy his book. And actually, through the interview and through featuring the interview on the podcast and a video version and like 5 different repurposes of it, I drove around about 1,200 clicks to his book on Amazon. And so now I have that so I can measure and send it. And recently I reached back out to his team and said, hey, remember me? I interviewed Tony 2 years ago. I know he's got a new book out. Here's the stats. They absolutely loved it. And they said, awesome, we're going to talk with Tony and get him back on your podcast. You know, so that's just like thing. I can reach out to other people now and tell them that I sent, you know, 1,200 people to Tony's book. That's exciting for them because there's a lot of podcasts out there, a lot of websites that literally I've spent like an hour on a podcast and got like, I went and had a look at their SoundCloud, you know, months later, and there's like 2 plays. And I just felt like, man, like I really wanted that one to stretch. That was a really good message. And so I can't keep doing that. You know, I've got to respect my time and respect others. So that's the key, you know, find how you can give people that new exposure, show them numbers. Remember, it's WIFM, compliment them, tell them that you respect their time. You know, you could even offer to pay them for their time if that's what, you know, most respectful people wouldn't accept $1,000 for an hour or whatever. Like they would just be like, cool, let's do it. You know, so there's a few little strategies. We can go into that at the conscious boss panel for sure.
And I love that. And it's that pre-order was a hack, but it's a kind of about taking the time to actually tune into their world and go, what do they have going on that I could then somehow help support, which so many people will just send a blank email and have not even tuned into anything that they have going on. But a couple of things you said that I think are really key there is like, you know, Tony didn't say yes right away, right? Like so many people are like, oh, it didn't work. Tried that, didn't work.
I followed up with Tony about 9 times.
Right.
I had him on my calendar, went off every single month, and every month I would hit him up and I would find every single angle, like his PR, his gatekeeper, his son, Jarek, as well, and like people that knew him and his assistants and his sales guys. I approached everybody to make that happen.
But that's perseverance. And you know what else is perseverance? You being on broadcast number 4 with the phone, the app keeps shutting down. So here we are, and we still have 30 people watching. It's very cool. So perseverance. Also, Tony holding this. Not Tony Robbins, and even more important, Tony named Tony Howell.
Seriously, you'll be seeing him on Wednesday night. And also, so I think a big one as well is that the relationship is always more important than the transaction. So like if you're asking someone for something, it's like build that relationship equity with someone and don't be so focused on like, I want you to do this thing for me. It's like build that relationship and then slowly, like always be about that, because from that place, people, you know, you always want to plan to help your friends, right? Always. So when you actually seek to connect genuinely with people you genuinely feel aligned with, then you're coming from that place, then you're less likely to kind of do the, you know, do this for me, and actually look to play the long game. It's like anything in business, you have to play the long game, like not being so short-sighted and like transactional approaches to everything.
Right. Emily, just to spin on that real quick, there was a guy on here, one of my good friends, Mark Lack. I don't know if he's still on here, but Mark says, I was at an event, was speaking at this event in San Diego, and he was on stage. He said something. I was kind of walking through the room, and I heard it, and I went, oh, that is good. He said something along the line, like, you can't take money out of a bank that you haven't put a deposit already in. Right? And it's like, everyone's trying to do, they're trying to make transactions from an empty account. It's like, you can't do that. You need to go fill that cup first if you want to pour from it.
Yeah,
that's a tweetable. Quickly, because then we're going to shut this down, because it's like you guys can kind of see it. Yeah, our Nisa store actually as well. But we're actually about to record a podcast as well. But with quickly, social media, where should you show up? Because this is a question that always happens. People don't know whether to be on everything. I know you say be on a few things well. So quickly touch on that, and then we're going to...
Rather than being average on 10 different platforms or more, I recommend people be really good, be rock stars on 3. Some people think that's a lot. I think it's manageable. Some people don't think that's a lot. If you've got a team or people helping you out, then you could probably be active on more. But even for me, I've got a team and I prioritize 3. I'd rather do 3 platforms really well instead of doing 10 to the point where I'm just existing and creating content. So for me, people always ask, my 3 are Twitter, Pinterest is number 2, and Instagram has become so those are my 3 priority platforms. I recommend people have their 3 in a way that makes sense for their brands.
And key point, way that makes sense for your brand. Phil is in branding, so obviously Pinterest is like
visuals.
Okay, we're going to cut it off in a second because we've got to go get someone in. So Joel Brown, hit us.
Yep, this is an interesting one for me too. I'm basing it off my experience, and also I'll share what I believe others should do too. So to go back on what Phil said, definitely 100%. Find your top 3 and really focus on that. There's all the tools, and there's the platforms and software that allows you to repurpose and reshare on so many different platforms from one source anyway. There's like no excuse why you can't master 3. A lot of people ask, we have a question right here from Katrina, asked, do you reckon Twitter is still relevant? Twitter is a little bit harder now to build on because there's like a lot of noise, and there's a lot of people that are jumping over to Facebook and other accounts. When I look at my traffic source to Addicted to Success, most of my traffic still comes from organic SEO search and Twitter. Facebook has bursts now and then, but Twitter, I mean, we have over 1 million people on Twitter across a few channels. So that helps for sure. The reach that you get on Twitter is pretty minimal, but it's interesting because I interact a lot with people on Twitter. I get a different type of crowd. I get people that are actually, if they're still on Twitter, it's usually because they're dedicated to reading tweets. So they're a different kind of crowd, and they're committed to engagement. So I engage with people on there. There's a lot of verified accounts that if I message them, they've messaged back, and I've developed relationships with like journalists, PR specialists, and got some interviews off there too. So it really is good. But like with everything, you got to invest your time in it. Facebook, you know how that goes. You got to pay to play. The organic reach is just being suppressed totally now because they want you to pay to play. So now you've got to create really awesome video content. Find the modality that really brings the most out of you. Find the thing that you're super confident in, but can also have a lot of room to grow in as well, and go all in on that. And for me, that's video. I love video, live and videos all the way.
Perfect.
Cool.
Yeah. And we had some nodding heads here from Tony, and I know you're a big Twitter fan. So
huge
touch
Twitter
quickly
fan.
on the Twitter thing.
I'll just say very quickly that I still believe Twitter is the best platform to access a targeted audience for free. So people who don't think it's relevant, or people who aren't using it correctly, I just have to learn a little bit more on how to hack the platform. I've been teaching people how to do this for years. It's so strong. I've gotten people TV shows, book deals, grown platforms that had them renew for all kinds of stuff, all from Twitter. Influencers, gatekeepers still look at Twitter as a metric of importance. So I'll talk more about that at our workshop.
And I think also, again, on that, relationships. Like the only reason those things come about from any of these platforms is because you're engaging and building and looking to authentically connect with the people that are on the other side of that screen, right?
100%.
Okay. On that note, we're gonna mic drop. Thank you, Joel, you legend, for being on here with us, and thank you, Phil, you amazing people, for being here. Both of these, Epic Guide and the guy behind the camera, is coming to us Wednesday at the Conscious Boss event. ConsciousBossClique.eventbrite.co.nz. There are 25 tickets left. See y'all there, and happy Easter.
Yay, thank you.
Bye, team. And Joel is also going to be doing a tour. Joel is going to be doing a tour 2 weeks after the event, so you can get more on him. So make sure you're liking and following him. Phil Pallen on Instagram, doesn't hang out much on Facebook, but we'll link these things up, and see you all on Wednesday. Bye, team.